So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a new webinar series that we are starting today. First topic is about our Modern Forms designer, and today speaking is myself, Matthias Walter, as a Chief Product Officer, and with me is Jamie. She will support me in the background with your questions, etc. And yeah, as usual, there will be a recording for this webinar. And if you have questions, just raise your hand. We can allow the microphone or the camera for you, or also use the chat functionality to ask the questions, and we will pick them up at the very end of this webinar. Good. So, like I already said, it's a short webinar series, so all these webinars are about 30 minutes max, and we want to really pick always some small topics from our products in the area of forms, workflows, and ALM and change management. Those are our main three topics, and yeah, there will be one webinar each month, more or less. So the next one is already scheduled for November 1st. So feel free to already register using this QR code here. And it will be about our action builder. So this will therefore not be part of this webinar where we show how to build powerful workflows in SharePoint. But before we really start into the topic itself, we would like to ask you one short question about which form designer are you using right now, just to make it a little bit interactive, that we know what you're using in your daily work. So it would be very nice if you can give us your answers. You can choose multiple, as you can see. And I will wait for some more seconds. Okay, nice. So no one so far at least is using skybow nor Power Apps. So some are using InfoPath, the others maybe Excel. If there's something specific, you can also write it into the chat. If it's not about Excel, Access, or paper would be interesting as well, what you're using. Yeah, if it's not one of those three. Yeah, otherwise feel free to give us your answer still later on. Good. So, skybow Modern Forms, so therefore I expect none of you really knows in detail so far, which is great. Is the design possibilities. I will directly jump into the demo part just to give you a quick overview of what I'm going to show you right now is what you can do with the Modern Forms to add controls like rows and fields, tabs, rich texts, buttons, lists, libraries, everything you can add to a Modern Form to design it. Easily drag and drop these controls from one section to another, and also, and that's something which we've added quite recently, a couple of weeks ago, is that we can also copy controls, single controls, multi-controls, multiple controls, etc. That's what I'm going to show you. Some form settings and also the possibilities of import and export. Good. Let's jump directly into the demo part. Should be here. So what you see here is a plain SharePoint list, and the form designer is added here on the top command bar. You can open it up, see all the forms available, and simply click on customize. I'm now taking the new form, and we're already in the design mode of our forms designer, which is really similar and should be quite intuitive to use because it's similar to a modern page. So like I said, we can here add columns. We have 3 columns, 1/3 left, 1/3 right. We can, so just like this, 2 columns. Inside these columns we can add then fields. So those are the fields which are available on the current SharePoint list, or you can also add additional fields directly from here. And this dialog is the standard SharePoint add column dialog, which you probably have seen before. So if it's a single multi-line column, etc., we can add them from here and they are automatically added to the form. Existing columns can be added like this. And next to that, we have additional things like a data lookup. I'm not going into detail about this today, but it's basically to look up data in another site collection somewhere else in SharePoint. There are other controls like tabs. You can easily add tabs, add additional tabs here, and next to that we do have buttons, and on these buttons we can configure actions, but this is not part of today's webinar because that would not fit into these 30 minutes. But it's a button and you can add actions, what should be done when you press the button. So that's one option that we have here. And yeah, a rich text. Rich text is really just to add, like this one, this is a rich text. It's just the title of the form, and you can just use this Visivic editor, style it using a heading, bold, whatever, add images, tables, and so on. That's a rich text. And all these controls we can then easily move via drag and drop. So for example, the field I can simply drag, whether using this little icon here, like this, anywhere on the form, like this, or on the fields we can also drag them on the label. So the field label itself, this one, simply drag it, and that makes it very fast to put it somewhere else. If you have tabs, you select the tab, drag it inside, and you already have the field inside this tab. So yeah, drag and drop is also possible on the tabs. So maybe I need to give it a name, tab 2. So we see what happens. You can also drag and drop the tabs, reorder them. Make this the first one, and yeah, we can also move the whole tab control. We can put it inside another tab and so on. So that's, and inside of tabs we can have another 1, 2, or 3 column layout. So and this copy functionality that I was talking about is this icon that we have here. So on every control, doesn't matter if it's a field or if it's a tab, we can simply copy and paste. So when I click this copy, it's copied, and then I can really add it everywhere from the plus button. We see the clipboard, this green dashed border, and the field is copied. with all its configuration. So that's something I will not do today, but as you can see, I've had some configuration on that field. So here I have some business logic on that field. This also comes along. So the whole copy, the copy process will copy everything which is configured on the field. And this even works, and that's something which needs to be allowed the very first time. There will be a pop-up message. I don't see it right now. So when I copy a control, let's do it again here. That's the one I wanted to show you. So I already allowed the possibility to access the clipboard, and could be also blocked. Then it's like this. But if we allow it, then we can really go on another form. Now we have it here, right? If we close it and we take another one here, go again to the new form, and we still have it because it's copied to the clipboard. So if that does not work on your side, then you have to allow this one here. That's a little thing that most people do not activate, because the very first time you use it, it's going to ask you if you want to allow to access the clipboard. Then because you don't know why it's needed, you say block, and then this functionality is not available. And that's the only thing here. So we really read what is added to the clipboard, and then we can really use it even in other forms and so on. And yeah, this really works for even for tabs. So the whole tab here, if I want to make a copy of that tab, I click copy, go to add a tab. Instead of a new tab, we also have the details tab, and check, I have another tab added with the exact same configuration. Now this one doesn't make sense, but let's say you want to copy this configuration here from the new form to the edit form, then this is really cool, because then you can simply go to the edit form and add the full tab with all its configuration inside to the other form. So that's needed if you just want to copy specific parts and not the whole form. So here, for example, I can go again, add the details tab. Here it's also already added, but you see it would work even cross form. And then next to these possibilities, I mean, copy would also work for a whole row. So even the row we can copy. So the whole row with everything inside is then available here. Yeah, that really works on every control. Now, form settings, that's the button we have at the very top. In the form settings, we can customize and say how large the panel should be. So we always have this panel here. So if we say new, for example, this panel, that's the panel size, and we can say if it should be full screen or just small. So this one is large, and if I would change here, let's say it to full screen, and on the edit form, but let's take the edit form, full screen, save it, and now let's just edit an item. Now I see it's full screen. So it's just the panel size we can make small. It depends on the form. Sometimes it's really great to have the full screen size available, not like the out-of-the-box forms. You always have just a very small panel, all the fields in one column, and yeah, we can, with this we can use the full size of the page. So, and then last but not least, we have, if you go to the new form again, we've added an option to use an import and export. If I've designed a new form, let's say this one, sometimes new edit display, so the 3 standard forms, sometimes they're different, sometimes they are the same. Or you want to have a starting point and then customize it further. With this, you can simply go here on the top, click export, which gives me a .json file. It's really just a standard JSON format. It's text, and we can use that somewhere else. We can use it as backup. We can also use it, now we are on the edit form. I'm going the new form, sorry. If I now go to the edit form, edit, this one looks different, and I don't want to overwrite, or I don't want to lose it. That's why I also export that form first. But to show you, I can now import the new form to this one, and I can choose this new form that I just exported here, double click, and then I'm able to choose what to be imported. So not just the full form. If I would just leave everything as it is, I would completely overwrite that form. But this is a selective import that we can do here. We can say, okay, do not overwrite the command bar actions. So these here on the top, because they might be different. But or the form settings, the panel size, or the form load actions. So everything is separate, the styles, and this is basically, the form controls is really the form itself. So I could say do not overwrite my buttons, not my actions. So I can disable those things. I just want to have the form and the general styles. Let's say yes. And now you can see it looks exactly one-to-one the same as my new form, because it imported everything. The whole logic that I've added is here. The styles, so the screen background, the screen border, and so on. This is all imported from the file. It's all there. Actually, styling is another topic that we will handle in another webinar, in another short webinar that's available here. Yeah, it's all here, and if now I can customize it further. And like I say, if I do changes later on, it's maybe easier, instead of overwriting the whole form, just to copy a single field or a tab from when I do some changes. I can do the changes, copy it over without overwriting the whole form. Or I just revert it back to my previous one, so my edit form, the one I just exported before. There we haven't had any general styles. That's why it's automatically recognized as not available. That's why it's disabled here. If I would still activate it, that means it would overwrite existing general styles that we will have here. That's what I want to have. So I want to really import the full file as it is. I say yes, and I'm having the same as I had before. So yeah, just as an advice, before you import something, quickly make an export to save your work before, so you can always go back to that configuration. Yeah, those are the basic form configuration without the details about what's possible with actions. That's what we will handle in another webinar, styling, and also the business logic itself. It's really just about design options to drag and drop, tabs, adding the controls, and most important, because this is all, it's all responsive. So that's why we don't have these pixel-based adjustments. It's all just 1, 2, 3 columns, etc. But if we do it like this, our forms are always fully responsive, which means I open up that form. Let's take that new form again. That's the one we just saw. If I would change here to mobile, the exact same form is just is fully responsive. The tabs turn into accordions. 2, 3 columns, they will swap down to be all in one. So you can still use that form. Also the buttons on top, everything is available via mobile device, and it's the same form. Even if you go back, it's that form. So you don't have to design a form for a mobile device or a form for bigger devices. It's always the same, and it's responsive by default. Good. That's what I have prepared as a demo about our form designer possibilities. Are there any questions so far? If so, just raise your hand or ask them in the chat. You're always welcome to contact us after the webinar and ask the questions there. I can also give you a demo. And yeah, I don't see some questions so far. Yeah, then we would just have one last question to you before we close today. And we want to thank you for joining that webinar. There is a question. Nice. Is it also available for on-premise? Yes, it is. So this Modern Forms is also available for on-premise 2019, the modern the modern version. We also have a classic version, which is available for SharePoint Server 13, 16, 19, but it's using the classic UI. That's not the one I showed you today. Similar possibilities, but it's not, yeah, it's all in the classic one. But yes, it's the same. It's available for SharePoint Server. Good. Then, thank you very much for joining. And yeah, someone is still writing? No? Ah, good. Good. Thanks. And yeah, thanks as well, Jamie. And have a nice evening.